Hey, it's DV from the DV Project with another rendition, the second edition of what I learned in therapy today. So, today was a tough one. If you saw the last episode of Catalyst Convos, you'll know that one's entitled Fear, Faith, and the Unknown. And that's just a lot of medical issues going on right now with my wife. There's a lot of uncertainty with that. There's a lot of challenges mentally and emotionally with that. There's a lot of back and forth politics. And of course, every day has its own host of issues as it occurs with regards to her health. So, we heard some recent news that I will be vacating base housing soon on short notice. So that's created a plethora of uncertainty and anxiety. It's kind of not on our own terms. Um, but it's just time. It's just time to move on. So what I learned today is that you got to move beyond paralysis of analysis. So in the midst of all of this going on in the initial news, I'm just trying to skip ahead here. The emotions and just a lot of thoughts on how the heck do we make this move happen? What do we put in motion? There's so many factors, so many things to think about as far as checking the list off. Looking at homes, it's its own thing. Potentially looking for other jobs to afford the growing stupid market for houses out here. Thinking about school and how that's going to play out for our youngest. Thinking about, do we even have enough money to kind of survive this move without being totally in the hole? So it's a lot of stuff. And something that my therapist reminded me of is you got to move where you are. It's okay to feel what you're feeling in the moment. There's a lot of stuff going on. Got it. But at some point, you got to make movement. At some point, you got to take action. So in as much as it's nice to have all the information, it's not always feasible and it's not always realistic. But what you can do is you can move on a little bit of intel or intelligence that you do have to change the trajectory of the situation and hopefully get some things checked off the list, make some progress, and before you know it, you've got the ball rolling, moving towards resolution. And that's not always easy, especially if you're a Christ believer and if you're faith-based. It's certainly not easy. A lot of it feels like you're just out on an island. And that's where a lot of the anxiety comes into play, is not knowing how things are going to play out, not knowing what's going to happen when, how it's going to affect you. And of course, lack of control over the situation, which breeds even more anxiety. So, how do I move through this space? How do I move from this point on? So rather than just getting stuck at looking online and looking at homes, taking a concerted effort to contact a few people rather than just leave it the chance that I'm going to be on the job search website. I've contacted a couple people. And why that's important is when you're anxious, when you've got fight or flight, when you've got just a host of things inundating you thought-wise, emotions-wise, it's not always easy to think logically or think with any type of strategy. It just speeds things up. It just puts things in overdrive. And so it takes a real concerted effort. It takes a lot of practice to slow things down. It really does. And dare I say, sometimes you need people around you and in your circle of influence to help you slow things down, help you um, make sense of things, and give you their perspective once they've heard what you got on the table, which you've put out on the table for for digestion and things of that nature. So in between all the venting and the frustration, it comes a point where I just got to take action. But it did bring me to the point of reflecting that I'm not alone on this journey. I'm not alone in this situation. Obviously, I have my wife, but she's in an otherwise compromised situation. But I do have other people that I can rely on. And that's why support is so, dare I say, critical in situations like this. Um, so I really learned the importance of getting past the paralysis of analysis by taking some action, starting where you are, um, and allowing that to propel you forward, and then finally just relying on the support that you do have. The chances are you won't be able to always logically strategize everything, but there are other people that can help you with that. There's other people that they'll hear you vent, but they'll hold your feet to the fire from an accountability standpoint. Um, okay, now what? Okay, what are you doing with this? Okay, when are you going to call these people? When are you going to follow up with this? Okay, have you looked into that? Um, so it's key. It's important. So I've reached out to a few people, and the support is on its way. Got some viable information as far as people to contact to help out in some other areas. So I feel somewhat better. I'm still quite uneasy, but I'm further along than where I was. Um, and for me, right here and right now, I'm okay with that. So just a couple brief notes for you, maybe some things you could take forward. But that's what I learned in therapy today. As always, keep swimming, keep building.